right, let's get into our top fives. Like Guy said, this week is top five title runs and top five Marvel movies. I'm gonna get started with the title runs. Real quick, the title runs. What I mean by this is like everything, like the playoffs leading into it, any factor leading into a championship winning team is gonna be on our lists. My number five, I am going to start with the 2004 Boston Red Sox. So this is the year they broke the Great Bambino curse. It's the first time they won a title since 1918 because the Babe Ruth, they obviously traded him to the Yankees. That put a curse on the Red Sox, pretty historic. But what really is like they beat the Cardinals in the World Series pretty easily. What made that run so historic was the ALCS whenever they reverse sweep the Yankees. So like the Yankees, they beat them last year in ALCS, I'm pretty sure. The Yankees were up 3-0. In the fourth game, they were winning with 1 run left in the ninth inning. Then Dave Roberts stole second. Then he got hit in. Then Ortiz hit a home run in extra innings, walk off. Then that basically reversed the whole thing, and they reverse sweep the Yankees, went on to the World Series, won, reversed the curse. I don't like Boston sports, but that is too iconic not to mention.
I'm with you. I'm going to go for my number 5, the 85 Bears.
Great.
Obviously, probably the best defense in the history of the NFL. They only lost 1 game in the regular season, and then going into the playoffs, they obviously went 3-0. And in the Super Bowl, they crushed the opposing team. I believe it was like 45-10 or something like that. It was just not even a contest. Like, this team was just a juggernaut and could not be stopped for pretty much the entire year.
Dude, the Super Bowl shuffle.
Mm-hmm.
The Super Bowl shuffle was like the best part about that run too. Dude, the fridge. What's his name? Something Perry. I forget his first name, but Will Perry or something.
Yeah, Will Perry. It's a W for sure.
Yeah. Well, they had Walter Payton. They had Will Perry, the big old D lineman. They just give the ball and they just pan and grind. McMahon, the quarterback. I love that 30 for 30.
Mm-hmm. That was a great one.
That's a great 30 for 30. That's why I know all this stuff about this team. And that's a great team. I like that pick. It's a great pick. My number 4 is the Super Bowl 52 Eagles. So more recently, Philly finally got their first win, their first Super Bowl win.
Mm-hmm.
I picked this because A, fuck the Pats. B, Big Dick Nick coming in after when Wentz go down. Was it the last week of like the regular season or whatever against the Vikings?
It was one of the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, and then Foles came on, has had a great run. They beat the Falcons. They destroyed the Vikings, and they went on to beat the Pats. Philly special obviously was iconic from it too. And that year, like the Eagles, I always liked the Eagles because I was always, since I was a kid, rooting for a Pennsylvania Super Bowl. So the Eagles were always a good one of my favorite teams in the NFC. And that year were us two, and the Pats had the best record with 13-5 or 13 and whatever. Right, what am I thinking of? 13-3. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, they had the best record. I thought it was totally possible, but then we ended up losing to Blake Bortles and the Jaguars, and that was bullshit. So then I immediately jumped on the Steelers lost, let's go Eagles. Hopefully you win. And it was a good Super Bowl. And number 4, definitely the Philly special, Big Dig Nick Eagles run.
Yeah, a couple things from that. So they were actually the underdogs in like all of their playoff appearances too, which caused I can't remember the lineman's name or the defensive tackle.
Jason Kelsey, right? When you put the dog head on.
Yeah, maybe it was him.
Or Lane Johnson.
It was Lane Johnson. Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, like just being underdogs, even though they were the number 1 seed in all their matchups, was crazy to me. And then also with the Philly special, the fact that the Patriots tried that play originally, and then the Philadelphia Eagles just copied it and got a touchdown out of it was just brilliant to me.
Yeah, it's awesome. And Doug Peterson, he that was like his first or second year, so that was, I think it's his first year, right?
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't know, but like before that, when I was like looking at this, when I was like looking up stats just bringing in here, like I think that the 2 seasons before they're like 7-9 both seasons or something. Mm-hmm. Like they were 7-9 like back-to-back seasons, and Doug Pearson came in, and then they turned to 13-3. Like that's kind of sick.
But moving on to my number 4, the 72-73 Miami Dolphins, the only team to go undefeated in the National Football League. Yeah. Got to give it to them. I mean that's just never been beat. I don't know if it ever will be beat, especially if they're planning on adding 2 more games each season, or 1 more week each season. Like, that's just insane. You got to give it to him.
Oh, definitely. Don Shula, R.I.P. too, right?
Yeah.
Like he just he just passed too. That's one of the best runs ever. You can't go undefeated like that. My number 3 is the 2013 Miami Heat. So that's the second championship that LeBron won. They were playing the Spurs. Obviously, it was the great Game 6 comeback. Ray Allen shot to send to OT to win in Game 7 eventually. But before even that, there was a 7-game series against the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals. That was a great series. That rivalry, the Pacers Heat rivalry during those LeBron big 3 years, were amazing to watch at all times.
And Lance Stevenson blowing on his ear.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah, exactly. And the rest of that playoffs, we beat the Bulls, which also was a sweet matchup there, but we won 4-1, and then we swept the first round too against the Bucks. So it was kind of boring at that point, but then the Eastern Conference Finals 7-game series was sick, and then we went on to the finals against the Spurs, forced a Game 7, and ended up winning in 7. So it was sweet. Like I think the Eastern Conference Finals and finals that year were like must-watch TV. Mm-hmm. Like it was.
That's yeah, okay. Well, you might not like me for my next pick, but I'm going to go with the 2010-2011 Dallas Mavericks. Dude, nobody was picking the Mavericks in this matchup. Everybody had LeBron as a shoo-in, and, dude, Dirk Nowitzki comes out and kills it. Balls for the Dallas Mavericks and gets his title, man.
Yeah. It sucks because I didn't really hate the Mavs. So
yeah.
It's like it sucks. It sucks losing to a team you don't like, but I feel like it's weirdly sucks that like losing to a team you also kind of like, because it's like you can't really. That team was sick. Jason Kidd and Dirk and I like that team. So, but they beat the Heat, so like fuck that team. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a bittersweet thing.
I feel you, and LeBron definitely didn't deserve like all the backlash. I feel for like.
But that's the other thing too. Like everyone
shunned him
whole summer.
Yeah.
I remember there's still that one Martian vs. Goblin song with the game in Tyler where like Tyler created where he says fall back like LeBron's hairline against the Mavericks. Like I don't know. Like I think that was
cold. It's cold.
Yeah. Fuck you for picking that, but at the same time, that was kind of a dope team. I kind of like Dirk.
Yeah, it's just unexpected. Like nobody really was calling for him.
If I'm not looking at it as a Heat fan's perspective, that was a sweet win. Yeah, but as a Heat fan's perspective, I'm like, dude, fuck that. All right. Well, my number 2 is going to be the Penguins. I decided first of all, my list is all ones I were alive for and I can remember. So like I just throwing that out there. So from that, I only can pick out 3 of the Penguins because I only want to have 1 Penguins, and I think 2009 was the coolest run. So in 2009, obviously it was a rematch of the finals the year before between the Red Wings and us. Went to Game 7. I love Game 7s. Looking back on it,
they're the best thing in sports.
Yeah, dude, it's that and overtime hockey are the most nerve-wracking thing in sports. But at the same time, like if you win Game 7, like looking back on it, going 7 games is awesome. Like, you know what I mean? So 7-game series is great. We did this like in more recent Stanley Cups too in 2016, but we fired our coach halfway, like more close to halfway through the season, hired Dan Bylsma, and then he got us into the playoff picture, which then ultimately turned into Stanley Cup victory. Fuck Marian Hossa. Marian Hossa left the Pens. He said the Red Wings were going to win a cup before the Pens did, and the next year we played them in the finals and beat them. That's awesome. At the trade deadline that year, we got Chris Kunitz, who's one of my favorite Pens of all time. This is the first year with Chris Kunitz, and he helped get us the win. And my last point about this run is on the way to the finals, we beat the Flyers, we beat the Capitals, and then we beat the Hurricanes. I don't really care about the Hurricanes, but we beat the Flyers and the Capitals on our way to that Stanley Cup, Sid's first Stanley Cup. So that is number 2 on my list, 2009 Stanley Cup Penguins team.
Dude, yeah, Marian Hossa leaving the team and going to the Red Wings, and then us beating the Red Wings that next year was just perfect. It was the cherry on top for the title.
And it's also the fact that he left and he made it very public that it's because he thinks the Red Wings will win a cup before the Pens do. And he wants to win a Stanley Cup. He made it very public. So then that's just bad.
And then didn't he go to the Blackhawks and they lost in their first try?
I think they won on their first try, but I think it looked a little shaky there for a little bit.
Okay, yeah, I remember there was big talk about that too. Whenever he was like popping teams for a ring chase.
I think it might have been like a way. Like one of the series leading up to the finals that year when he was on the Blackhawks, they were down like 3-2 or something.
Yeah.
On that. But yeah, no. 09 Pens, great. Got me. I watched the Pens game beforehand, but that team is the one who really got me in like watching hockey.
No, yeah, I agree with you there. Honestly, when I started watching football, it was the Steelers 05 run, and then when I started watching hockey, it was the Pens run. So yeah, that's championships get me into sports, man. What can I say?
Yeah, I watched both before, but at the same time, I really got into hockey way more though now.
My number 2, the 07 Giants. The roller coaster ride that team went through. You know, they were hot, then they were not, and then they got into the playoffs, I believe, with a 6 seed.
Yeah.
And then they go and they're in the Super Bowl somehow, and they're facing this juggernaut of the undefeated at the time Patriots. And everybody's obviously picking the Patriots because, you know, it's just going to happen. They're this dynasty that's been thriving for the past 7 years. And the Giants upset them. David Tyree with the catch on his helmet was fantastic. Oh, my God. That Super Bowl was insane. And just to see every Pats fan cry after that and try to, like, justify, like, oh, you can't win them all. Like, it was just great.
Yeah. Plexico Burress. Wasn't Strahan on the defense still?
Yeah, Strahan was on the defense still.
Yeah, dude. I love that Super Bowl.
I want to say they had young JPP too. Like very young JPP.
Like rookie.
Yeah, possibly rookie. I'd have to look that up. But
that kind of lineup, it might be a little early. I love that, especially with having a friend like Meter who comes on all the time. Meter, he's a huge Pats fan. I love bringing up the helmet catch. Sick. All right, so my number 1. Are you looking up the JTP?
Yeah. That was after 2010. A few years after.
All right. My number 1. You just kind of mentioned it. Super Bowl 40, Pittsburgh Steelers. So it was the bus's last ride. We made it into
that was the thing, man. Yeah.
Bus last ride, and the Super Bowl was in his hometown. There was no way we weren't gonna win. So the bus said, "Everyone get on. We're going home to Detroit." On the way there, we got in the 16 wild card. We beat up on the Bengals, which was like an upset for us. We won that. Then the second round, we were gonna lose to the Peyton Manning Colts, who were I think the number 1 seed that year. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the bus fumbles the ball on the 1-yard line. They're taking the other way. Ben leans back, grabs a shoestring. They stops him from scoring a touchdown. The Colts march down the field, waste that time, go for a game-winning field goal, and he missed. And then that leaves the greatest, like, he missed montage of Tony Dungy, Peyton Manning, and then, like, Bill Cowher, and, like, that's, like, all mouthing the same time he missed. The next week, we went down to Denver, beat Plummer, or whatever his name was, the quarterback who looked like long hair in Denver. They were favored. We still beat them. Made it to the Detroit Seahawks. A lot of people say the ref gave us that game, but there's still some great moments with like Randall Welter and Hines Ward, the pass. And
that pass was amazing.
Yeah, it was sick. So the whole game was pretty sweet, and but the road there was even sweeter. And the bus ended. His last stop was with the Super Bowl victory, and Jerome Bettis was one of my favorite Steelers ever. So my number 1 is the Steelers Super Bowl 40.
Yeah, if you ever buy like the championship DVDs after your team wins, that's a good one. That's a fantastic one to watch because like that story is just incredible.
Dude, it's like a lot of those DVDs and stuff, like for like some of these past teams that were just like clear favorites and won, like those DVDs would be stupid. But like the Giants, like you just mentioned, and like the Steelers, like these seasons would be sick to see, like have a championship DVD of.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, so my number 1, the 15-16 Cleveland Cavaliers. Dude,
nice.
This win, number 1, LeBron finally winning for Cleveland. Number 2, they came back from a 3-1 deficit. against the Warriors.
Yeah.
And number 3, it became a fucking internet meme for like months after that.
Yes.
It was like you would just see something going on and that would zoom in and be like the Warriors blew a 3-1 lead.
Yes. And then, yeah, I mean, and that was like the Warriors' best record, like regular season record of all time. And they lose the finals to the team that they just beat last year. The block, the Kyrie
block,
dude. Dude, that was a sweet game 7, but it was also a sweet like series, like you said, the 3-1. And by the rest of the series, they were probably just swept their way. But like,
the game 5, I believe it would have been, where Kyrie and LeBron were going off.
Yeah,
where their back was against the wall. That was just an awesome game. And I think if I remember correctly, the 6th game it was kind of a blowout by the Cavs. And then game 7 was insane.
That series is one of the best series in NBA Finals history.
Yeah, for sure. I think that was like the first time a team down 3-1 won as well, wasn't it?
Definitely, probably. If not, then I can't think. I think that's ever. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember them saying that whenever it first happened. But yeah, dude, I gotta give it to them. And I love a big LeBron fan. So you know, you got to give the man support in doing that for his team. The promise made to Cleveland.
Great. It's great.
He doesn't know shit.
That's great. All right. So real quick recap. My number 5 was the 2004 Red Sox. My number 4 was the Super Bowl 52 Eagles. Number 3, 2013 Heat. Number 2, the 09 Pens. And number 1 is Super Bowl 40 Steelers.
Mine is the 85 Bears, the 72-73 Miami Dolphins that went undefeated, the Mavericks beating the LeBron James' Heat, and then the 07 Giants beating the undefeated Patriots, and then the Cavaliers coming back from the deficit of 3-1 against the Warriors.
Do you have any you left off any honorable mentions?
I had an honorable mention, but it was your number 1, the Steelers, the 05 Steelers.
Okay.
I didn't put them in there only because the arguments that the refs gave us that game, which I feel that, but like you said, the story is just tremendous.
Yeah, and obviously I have honorable mentions where like I didn't want to do more than one Pens run, but like the 2016 Pen run was amazing. But it's like they're not more. Then I didn't want to do 2 Steeler runs. Plus like the 43 Super Bowl like is more exciting. Like I feel like the AFC Championship and the finals are more exciting than the actual like rest of it. But also the Warriors 2015 Warriors before they got annoying, everyone hated. I almost put them on the list. I almost put on this last year's Nationals team because that was sweet. They're underdogs every single series and they won. And the road games won. And yeah, that's pretty much all I had for that.
All right, let's take it over to top 5 Marvel movies. Now, you and me, we've always had this conversation whenever we were just hammered at like 2 a.m. bullshitting. So now let's just talk about it again, man, on the pod. So my number 5, I'm going to give it to
Wait, what? Real quick, I feel like we're going to have like a lot of the same. So
Yeah, we probably will have a lot of the same.
Disclaimer.
Different positioning, stuff like that. But, all these, I would say honestly as a whole with the Marvel Universe, there's not any bad movies in my opinion. It's just like great and good and like all right, acceptable, like par. Yeah. Like I don't think there's any bad movie personally.
I think the worst movies are still better than like
most movies out today.
DC movies, pretty much, besides the new recent ones.
yeah, honestly. But anyway, so my number 5 is Ant-Man. This movie surprised the hell out of me. I didn't expect jack shit from Ant-Man when I saw it. I mean, I was like excited, intrigued with Paul Rudd being in the Marvel Universe. But he killed it. The script is amazing. The special effects for the microverse was insane. It was just incredible. And that came before Doctor Strange, I believe. So like that kind of like that was the first time we saw shit like that in the MCU. The villain was meh, but that's kind of what you get out of Marvel origin stories for heroes. But yeah, Michael Douglas was amazing. The de-aging they did on him in the early scenes was sweet too.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that was like the first time they started doing the de-aging as well.
And it was flawless. That and like Guardians 2, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, my number 5 is Ant-Man. I'm just gonna throw it out there real quick. It's the same. So I liked everything you said was 100% accurate.
Yeah.
Michael Pena is one of the T.I.
Oh yeah,
other guy. Those three are like the perfect amount of funny in this movie. Like, and that's the thing. This movie is like probably one of the. I just watched it the other night actually.
Yeah.
This movie is probably one of the funniest Marvel movies. Probably like top 3 favorite funniest movies of all the Marvel movies. This is like probably Ragnarok or something. But like this, like that, it balanced it well. Like you said, the script, like the heist part of it, like basically a Marvel heist movie, which really set up what they're doing in Endgame too when it gets to Endgame. So like it's perfect setup there, perfect origin story. I like how they had the 2 generations of Ant-Man in the same movie, and one being the like mentor to the other. Like I feel like that's pretty sweet how they have 2 different Ant-Mans in like the same movie, and stars too. Like it's not like when something like that usually happens when the mentor's with the mentee, usually the mentor dies, but they don't. It's like they're teammates, they're partners, they're part of a team. So I like that. Like I said, really funny. It was amazing. I love Ant-Man, but imagine it being better with Edgar Wright still stuck with it.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, Bill is good. Wasn't Peyton Reed? Like Peyton Reed did a great job with it, but like Edgar Wright is like one of the like an all-time director. Like imagine this. Like I don't know how like he did that much better, but like imagine it probably would be better. Even like to be saying.
I'm probably like molding all the Marvel universe together for this, but did we see Giant Man in this movie?
No, that's Civil War. We first see Giant Man.
Oh, okay, you're right. Okay, I was like thinking if we did or not, but that would have been cool. I also forgot to mention the train fight scene at the end between Ant-Man and the Yellow Jacket. Where like they're just on this like toy train set fighting,
cool.
And you just see like all these like giant trains flying across the screen whenever you're zoomed in on them, and then it zooms out and like the train just crashes. But it's like so detrimental to them actually on the tracks.
That's nuts. I like that about that. That's sick. And like the whole scene where he first shrinks, he's in the bathtub, then he gets to the party with the on the record, and then starting outside, like that's all sweet. Like that's really cool. I just like Ant-Man a lot. I don't know why.
Anthony, was that the first Ant's name?
Anthony, Anthony is awesome.
But all right,
and real quick, and Luis's whole, I got a cousin who told a friend.
My cousin Marcos told me that.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh yeah, hey.
Him telling the story there, and then him telling the story like at the end, and Ant-Man and the Wasp, like those are some of the best parts about the movies. Like, and I kind of wish they they had that in Endgame. I remember people saying they should have like him give Scott like a recap of what happened with Thanos from the last movie. Well, there's this purple guy, and like just like randomly throw it in Endgame. That'd be great. That'd have been great.
Oh man. Anyways, moving on. My number 4 is Guardians 1. This movie, I was probably, when I first heard about it, I was probably the most excited about it because I was like, this story is just so different, and yet so many great actors tied to it. I mean, you had Bradley Cooper, obviously, Dave Bautista, who was interesting, but he killed it, and then Vin Diesel is Groot, fantastic. Zoe Saldana, I believe her name is, for Gamora. And then obviously Chris Pratt for Peter Quill. Also, the music in this movie was phenomenal. It was the best soundtrack in any movie I've ever seen in my entire life. I literally got the entire soundtrack downloaded on my phone after I saw this movie. And the story itself was just fantastic too.
Yeah. I don't want to get too much into it. Spoiler alert, you'll be here. We'll be talking about this again in a second.
Okay. We'll just leave it at that, and then we'll circle back later.
Exactly.
But that was my number 4.
That's a great pick. My number 4 was Captain America: Civil War. So it's basically an Avengers movie without being an Avengers movie. Cap is like my favorite character. There's so many good moments. Introducing a Spider-Man, introducing a Black Panther. Yeah, the whole airport battle, the whole Iron Man and Winter Soldier battle, and besides all the cool like pew fightings, there's also a sweet story in there too, where a guy who's not superpowered wants to take down a team of superheroes, and how's he gonna do it? By like tearing them against each other. Like that was just like, I feel like Zemo doesn't really get that good of a rap as a villain because he's not like a fighting type, but like he did the more damage to the Avengers. Like him and Thanos is the only person who did more damage than any of them.
Yeah, he essentially Baron Zemo did what Ultron tried to do.
Exactly, he's did it like better for somehow. and he's
Yeah,
not.
Ultron tried to split them apart
Yeah.
and break them apart from the inside, and Baron Zemo just mastered it and did it correctly, and it lasted through till the very end of the fucking saga.
Yeah, and which is basically the reason why they lost in Infinity War, because they weren't together. Like, I feel they're together, it'd be a whole different movie, which is great. This movie set that up. Zemo, I think when we see him in the Falcon Winter Soldier series, he's going to be like, people are going to look back and be like, you know what, he is a cool villain. Like, I think
he's great.
I think it's sick. I think it's sick. And then also the whole plot with like Bucky is like on the run and Steve believing him, and they find out there's more Winter Soldiers, but then there's also the Accords, and like, you know what I mean? Like, there's just, the plot was very good, but I feel like the best parts about it are just the fighting. Like, the Giant Man, like you mentioned about Ant-Man, Giant Man, and
the arrow with Ant-Man on it.
That's sick. He goes in the thing, and then Spider-Man doing the Star Wars with the Giant Man, ATs, and then Vision taking down Don Cheadle and War Machine going paralyzed. That's kind of like a big deal.
My favorite, I think what's the coolest like choreographed actual fight scene was Iron Man versus the Winter Soldier. Like whenever Iron Man wasn't wearing his suit and he just had the gloves.
Yeah,
and they were doing that whole altercation, and he like thought he shot his hand off, and he like, whoa, like that was an intense moment right there. Also introducing Black Panther too. Black Panther turned out really fucking cool, and that was a great way to introduce him, not through his own. I mean, they did his own origin movie after that, but like introducing him here was kind of a good way to skip a lot of the bullshit in the actual Black Panther movie.
Dude, I love how they introduced Black Panther and Spider-Man by giving them an origin that didn't take more than 5 minutes, but yet was still perfect.
Yeah,
like his dad dying, him blowing up. Like he's a principal of the country. Like at this meeting where Natasha is, that's how you meet him. Like, oh, cool, T'Challa. But then his dad dying, and right before your eyes, you see a motive and him becoming like a hero origin. 5-10 minutes. Then you go to Spider-Man, and you see he lives with Aunt May. You can see that he's rebuilding computers. You see him talking to Tony Stark, and he shows him like the video for surveillance of him dressed in the ratty Spider-Man costume fighting stuff. Like, is that you? No, it's not. And then he talks about like he gives like a low-key hidden with great power comes great responsibility, with the when you have the powers and things happen to your people you love and it's your fault, like blah blah blah. Like you give the whole Spider-Man, okay, you got bet he's new but he's not, blah blah blah, in like 5 minutes, and it's like still good.
Yeah, it's a perfect way, to introduce him in this universe, because I mean, obviously, if you've seen superhero movies, you know Spider-Man's origin. Like, you know, Uncle Ben died, and with great power comes great responsibility, all that shit. So it's a good way to not, like, go into all that and sort of make it a mini Spider-Man movie.
You don't need to go through all that, and you can still get the gist of who this character is by what they showed us. And then with Black Panthers, maybe some people didn't know his origins, but, like, still somehow in 5-10 minutes, you kind of get, okay, there's a cool country that's hidden, and his dad died, so now he's king.
And
we're good. Then you can go back on it with the movie, which is great too.
And the reveal that the Winter Soldier killed Iron Man's parents too.
That was nuts too.
Which was sweet. And like he was like, I don't care. And he just like kept kicking. He just like went to go kick his ass.
Yeah.
He was like, he was mind control. He's like, I don't give a shit. Like, I'm gonna kill him.
He killed my mom. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna kill him. I don't care.
He literally said, yeah, but he killed my mom, and it's like, yeah, it's not. But yeah, number 4, Civil War, great movie.
All right, for me, number 3, Thor Ragnarok. This movie finally gave us the Thor movie that Marvel has been wanting for the entire MCU. Obviously, Thor 1 wasn't that great. Thor Dark World's arguably one of the worst Marvel movies. And Thor 3, Taika Waititi came in and just killed it. Obviously, you added Hulk 2, which made it, even better of a movie. The introduction of the character Valkyrie was sweet. She's awesome. And then having Loki in there as well. So that was smart. Jeff Goldblum's character, what's his name again? Grandmaster. Yeah. But yeah, this whole movie is awesome. I loved how it was sort of like a send-off for Odin too, in a way. Yeah. So like it was like, hey, Asgard's done. And like they kind of foreshadowed the end of Asgard, obviously with the name Ragnarok, but like, throughout the entire movie, Odin was like, it's Asgard's its people, not the place.
Mm-hmm. And it sets it up in Avengers of Ultron too. Whenever he gets the vision about the stones, he also gets like, or the vision from Scarlet Witch is like, Heimdall goes up to him and is like, this is Ragnarok, like blah blah blah. So you knew it was coming. Ragnarok. Oh, Korg is the man.
Hey, good.
Hey, want to get in a spaceship? Ragnarok actually was like right off my list for me. Like it's not my list, but it was Ant-Man took it for number 5. But
Yeah.
I love Ragnarok. It's definitely one of the great movies. Like you said, Grandmaster's a great Jeff Goldblum villain. Like the whole gladiator fight, the Hulk, the whole. It is a great story for Thor too. It made me care about the character of Thor more than the other two did, and the all those team up movies did.
And it was as simple as giving him that humor, like that, all the jokes and shit. That's all you needed to do. And he was great.
On top of the jokes too, like I feel like in pretty much most of the movies, he's this demigod, like unstoppable force. But then he finally gets meets a foe he can't beat. We can't hit hammer with. He doesn't have his hammer anymore. Like he becomes more like grounded. I feel like, and makes me like the character more. So yeah, I just liked Ragnarok like overall.
No, yeah, for sure.
All right, my number 3. Okay, it's kind of I'm gonna say Avengers Endgame, but Infinity War to me is the exact same as Endgame. Like they're the same. You know what I mean? It's like all is one. But if I had to pick between the two, I'm going with Avengers Endgame. So my number 3, the Avengers Endgame.
Well, how about this? My number 2 is Infinity War. So let's just talk about them all.
Okay. To me, I feel like Infinity War and Endgame work best when they're together. Like you think it was one story, because technically originally it was going to be Infinity War Part 1, Infinity War Part 2. So like there is like a little gap that makes them better. But out of the two, I like Endgame more. But we can talk about Infinity War first if you want, because it comes out.
All right.
It's first.
Yeah. I like to keep them separate just because I think Infinity War was actually the best Marvel movie ever, besides my number 1. It was just the perfect way, like the way they introduced Thanos, like for real, not just like, you know, in end credit scenes or briefly in Guardians. The way they portrayed him in this movie, you were like kind of like, yeah, I mean his ideas are fucked up, but they kind of make sense. Like you kind of do like see overpopulation everywhere and resources are being burned. I mean, maybe just snapping half away is not a bad idea. And just that whole portrayal of him and the Avengers being broken up and then like just being like, you know, kind of like just off their guard. And just showed how easily they could be beaten once they're split apart.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I love Infinity War. I love all the team ups you saw throughout like the different groups, like the Rocket, Groot, and Thor storyline going this way. Boom. You got the Thanos with Gamora storyline. Boom. The Guardians with the rest of the Guardians with Tony, Doctor Strange, and Spider-Man. The whole dynamic between Iron Man and
on tight. Yeah.
I mean, Iron Man and Doctor Strange. I mean, that whole
the goatee boys
were great. Yeah. And then obviously the Cap and Wakanda and Vision and all that whole storyline. Like I don't know, it's great. It's great. There's so many great moments in Infinity War too.
And that scene where Thor came down with Stormbreaker for the first time on Wakanda still gives me chills to this day.
No, that's definitely the best.
Bring me Thanos.
Yeah, that's great. And like, cause everyone they're getting their ass kicked, and then you see Stormbreaker come flying through, and then the portal drops. No, but yeah, that Infinity War is great. But I like Endgame more, and I feel the reason I like Endgame more is I just feel like when I go back and think about each movie, Infinity War probably has like a better plot with the whole like Thanos basically being a protagonist thing. But Endgame, when I'm thinking of like the moments from each one, there's just way more like awesome moments in Endgame. So obviously,
I understand. Yeah, I understand.
You got obviously the Cap grabbing the hammer, and on your left, and the Avengers assemble, and I am inevitable, and I am Iron Man, snap, and then like the all girl power superhero team up scene, the Cap versus Cap fight. You got the there's just so many good ones. The taco meme thing with the Hulk giving him a taco, giving him the taco, giving Scott the taco. What's Hulk say too? Whenever they send Scott back into a baby and then to an old man, and then it's like
I see this as an absolute win.
Yeah, the whole Professor Hulk thing, like that was awesome. The beginning with Nebula and Tony on the ship, and them taking down Thanos and chopping his head off. Like I don't know, there's just so many great scenes in that.
Yeah, they really had so much range between like the big drama elements, like obviously with Iron Man and Nebula in the beginning, and then obviously the end fight, and the very like before they cut to 5 years later, like that moment where you're just like, fuck, he already destroyed the stones. Like that was just heavy, man.
Mm-hmm.
And Thor finally going for the head. But like then they throw in so much humor with it, like when Thor's playing Fortnite.
Oh yeah, I forgot Fat Thor. Fat Thor.
That Thor was hilarious. They and like the thing is, they're so successful at keeping all these things under wraps that like we had no idea to even anticipate Smart Hulk. I feel Fat Thor. What else? I feel like there's more. I mean, we all expected the time travel, but I don't think anybody anticipated that the stones would have been destroyed, and it would have been to that point. But
yeah, and Pepper becoming in the rescue armor.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of payoffs and stuff. That's sick. No, I love it.
Yeah, and then the send off for Iron Man at the end was just beautiful.
Dude, the Hawkeye family, the whole Hawkeye story plot, like him.
Oh yeah, dude, that scene was so powerful too, because you just have all that dramatic irony that you know what's going on, but Hawkeye's just like, what the fuck? And the send offs at the end for each character, for Iron Man and Captain America, were just perfect. Oh, yeah. They're just beautifully done to a T. I wouldn't change a damn thing.
Not at all. Yeah, Endgame, like I said, Infinity War, better plot probably, and I love Infinity War, but there's just so many like payoffs. I can put a smile on my face when I think back to that scene in the movie from Endgame.
Yeah, and I get that,
especially because I feel like Cap is my favorite character, obviously in the Marvel universe. He's been since the beginning. He actually got me. His movie is the first Marvel movie I saw that got me into the superhero thing. So if it wasn't for Cap, I wouldn't be like this big of a nerd for in Marvel. But I feel like there's a lot of Cap in the Endgame that's like awesome. Like him finally retiring with Peggy, passing the shield to Sam, him grabbing the hammer, him doing the Avengers Assemble with the On Your Left, which is a Cap movie, with him fighting himself and doing the Hail Hydra. When he said Hail Hydra, that was nuts.
Him fighting himself was hilarious too.
Yeah, it's great.
I can do this all day. Yeah, I know.
Then he hits him with the Bucky knows when he's losing, and he lets go. And he goes, all right. He knocks him out.
Oh yeah.
Dude, that's great. I just love Endgame. All right, but my number 2, because you did your number 2.
Yeah, I was gonna say you just keep it going.
My number 2, I said would get back to it. Guardians 1.
Yeah.
Very high up on my list for me. Guardians 1 is a movie. Going into it, I thought, okay, I'm into the superhero stuff. Like, I watch all these movies, but I don't know if I'm going to see this. Like, I never saw the Thors in theaters. I don't know if I'm going to see this. Went and saw it. Mind blown. Best soundtrack ever. Great casting. I actually cared about characters I'd never even heard about before. This completely changed. This showed that the Marvel movies can get cosmic and weird, and they can still do it good under good leadership. James Gunn had a great like script and great direction he used the movie. And I also heard like whenever he made the 1 and 2, he picked the soundtrack first and kind of built the movie around the soundtrack. I know he did it for 2 for sure, but I think that might certain ways that scenes were written and directed was based on the song that he picked for that scene.
Okay. I fuck with that.
Yeah, and the whole final battle with Ronan. Ronan was a very villain, but he also was like a big threat. So it's like he's an villain, but he's still a threat that made it worth it.
I think he was better than the par level for Marvel villains, but he wasn't like, your god tier. He wasn't your Loki's, your Thanos, or even your what's the other Panther?
Killmonger,
yeah. He wasn't that kind of caliber of a villain, but he was good enough in my opinion.
Oh, definitely. But no, Guardians. Like you said a lot of the stuff that I agree with when you said it before.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, honestly,
Thanos being in the movie too is sweet. That was a big reveal. That's the first time we really we didn't expect that either.
Yeah, it's kind of out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
But it also makes sense. And then when them getting out of prison, that whole scene is great.
Oh yeah.
The Ravengers are great to have like as a secondary like villain tier thing. Everything with the Nova Corps is pretty sweet. I don't know. The whole movie is great, but I think what really makes me love it that much is the soundtrack. We kind of talked about like fun. Mm-hmm. Like the soundtrack realistically made that movie for me.
Dude, and the amount of money that Vin Diesel got from Marvel for just saying "I am Groot" and "We are Groot."
But didn't he say it like 700 different times?
Yeah, he tried. Yeah, he had. There's his like what's it called? Screen tests for Groot are hilarious because he gets so into it. He's like, like he moves like he's in like motion capture or something, but he's not.
I mean, it actually makes sense because it sounds like he's actually there.
I mean, I'm cool with it. It's kind of funny. But yeah, like Groot dying, you think Groot died at the end, and then they plant him and he grows again.
No, he did die. That is his son, New Groot.
Wait, really?
Yeah, James Gunn came out and said it. He literally died. So that Groot is dead.
Okay.
That death is real. Then they took him and planted a new Groot, so that's his son technically, and that's why Groot says technically. Ever hear about the thing in Infinity War when he gets dusty, he looks at Rocket and goes, "Dad, like what's happening, Dad," or something like that. Him, but in I am Groot. That's like what the Russos came out and said. What Groot says to Rocket right before he dusts is like, "Dad."
Why you gotta throw that out there?
I'm
not saying you.
No,
I'm saying
but I mean, because I also kind of help
hey, you know that super sad moment in Infinity War? Yeah, let me just translate that for you and make it hit home 10 times more.
Which that's also crazy too. There's going back to Guardians real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Groot is all he says is I am Groot, but he's like one of my favorite characters. Because they actually mean other things. It's not like he's saying I am Groot, and he's so badass. Baby Groot in Guardians 2, oh, it's great.
Yeah, I wanted to put Guardians 2 on this list too, but Guardians
1.
I didn't want to put 2 of them on there.
2's not a top 5 movie to me.
It's definitely close. It's somewhere around top 8. At the level.
I'd probably put a couple before 2, but 1 is unbeatable to me. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it is beatable, but I think we have the same number 1.
I like 2 as well. I mean, we're going tangent here, but I like 2 as well just because of the whole father-son dynamic, and then he's like, oh, you know what, Yondu was a better father to me than my fucking dad actually was. So that was like a cool,
Yeah, no, it's great.
But anyways, moving on.
Well, I was just saying,
we
have the same number 1, so we should just
say
together.
At the same time?
No.
Okay.
You say the first half, I'll say the second half.
Okay. Captain
America.
Winter Soldier.
Yes. Captain America Winter Soldier, number 1 for both of us.
Oh, dude, this movie really sold me into the lore of the MCU because I was like, wait, what the fuck's Hydra? Like, when they introduced Hydra being S.H.I.E.L.D. this entire time was insane. And just, like, all the little things they dropped at the end of the movie, like Crossbones and Bucky, like, coming back and become the Winter Soldier, like, as a good guy. And what was it? Robert Redford? His villain was really cool.
Yeah, Alexander Pierce.
Mm-hmm.
The whole is great. It was great because how every Marvel movie kind of has like its own genre attached to it, and this was like the spy thriller, which is awesome. Yeah. Like undercover spy thriller. The elevator scene is one of the greatest scenes in Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, that whole Alexander Pierce villain is great because he's secretly for Hydra, and that's the best part about it too is how S.H.I.E.L.D. turns into Hydra. Because we saw Hydra in the first Captain America. We all thought it dodged the Red Skull.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, they had Zemo working for them, and he had started planting seeds without in Hydra. The whole reveal down that bunker, like the secret bunker, old S.H.I.E.L.D. was sick, and they shot the nukes at it, and they survived it. Black Widow being in this is sick too. Just throwing it out there. Like this is like
the hottest Scarlett Johansson role in any MCU movie.
Definitely. Yeah. This movie made me realize that Scarlett Johansson saw it. Like I never thought people said it, but then I saw this movie like, okay, I see it now.
Yeah, and what was and I liked also the humor, like so. Also, okay, well let me start here. The Nick Cage scene where he's like escaping the guy's trying to kill him, or not Nick Cage, Nick Fury. Sorry,
Nick Cage.
Sorry, Nick Fury escaping the Hydra agents like in his car, and like him like talking to his car, and it's like shield capacity at like 10%, and it's like constantly decreasing, like telling him every percent. He's like, shut the hell up, like
yeah.
And then he just drills a hole in the ground, and he like just Bugs Bunnies out of there, like somehow.
that's like probably like the most wild part of the movie. How did he do that? That was,
Yeah, like what? How'd you do that, man? And then he just like, and I love like that code, like I don't want maybe code banter. Captain America and Nick Fury had whenever like they met in Captain's apartment. And he was, yeah, wife kicked me out.
Yeah. And then he like was holding up like his phone saying, "Ears everywhere, don't trust it." Then he gets shot, fakes his death. That's great. The whole Bucky thing with Cap, the whole scene on the overpass, fighting on the overpass.
Mm-hmm.
Sam, which also they introduced Sam, and Sam's a great character.
Yeah,
it's a great character. And then tossing off Sitwell off the building and catching him with Falcon's wings, and revealing Falcon and his like costume and his like wings. That's pretty sweet.
And they name dropped Stephen Strange in that movie too.
Yeah, exactly.
That was sweet. I also love the scene where they're in like the car, Bucky, Sam, and Captain America and Sharon Carter.
That's in Civil War.
Oh, is that Civil War?
Yeah, that's when Bucky's good.
I'm jumbling them all together.
Yeah, but Carter is introduced in this too, and then Abed is a cameo.
Oh, yeah, the community tie-ins, yeah.
Yeah. But overall, yeah. I mean, this movie is great. It's not really much you can talk about. It's just a great movie. It's just like, I mean, we talked a lot about it, but
I think that's the one movie. Like, you could take that movie and show it to somebody who's not into Marvel, and I think that they would enjoy that movie a lot.
You just tell them real quick before you get started. Here's like little background, all you need to know. Boom, and that'd be great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like a 10-minute little like discussion thread.
And Bucky pulling Cap out at the end too. You kind of mentioned there, like kind of glimpse of Bucky being good again.
And Captain America pulling in a helicopter.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like what?
So that's Civil War 2.
Is that Civil War? Fuck, man. This is killing me.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Is it? I don't know. Fuck it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's whenever Bucky leaves.
This is just Marvel appreciation, all right? Like, we're just appreciating it all. It was great. It was a good run. Like,
I mean, yeah, no, but so real quick, what's yours again?
Well, let me drop some honorable mentions. I had Spider-Man: Homecoming as one, Avengers 1, obviously, then Endgame and Iron Man 1 and Guardians 2.
Okay, all my honorable mentions are every single Marvel movie except for Thor: The Dark World, The Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, and Avengers Ultron.
You really don't like Ultron.
I kind of like it. I mean, it's like you
I
said.
think it's better than it's received.
No, there's not really a bad Marvel movie, but it's definitely the lower tier.
It's the worst Avengers movie easily, but I think it's better than a lot of the par Marvel movies.
I think it's better looking back at it now than it was when it came out, because there's some things that paid off like in later movies, like Cap with the shield, Cap with the hammer, like seeing Claw in Black Panther and how dope Black Panther was, and like seeing Claw in that too.
That whole party scene, by the way, with the like before the hammer, was great in Ultron.
Like whenever like
you see them all mingling with each other, and like War Machine is like boasting about his like one. Yeah, he's like, boom, you looking for this? And everyone's like not caring at all.
See, I like that movie, but it's also kind of a dumb scene. I mean, I like that scene, but it's also kind of a dumb scene.
And it was a great Stan Lee cameo.
Yeah, and like getting messed up off the
Thor. Yeah, trying to outdrink Thor.
Yeah.
Who we knew from Thor 1 has like a way higher tolerance because he's an Asgardian.
Yeah, but real quick, there's still that scene is sick, but there's still some parts of it where it's like weird. Like the whole, I thought the whole Nat Bruce scene was really cringy. I don't know why Hawkeye had drumsticks, but he just had drumsticks in his hand. Maria Hill was like, "Come on, guys, where the ladies at?" So there's some horny ass parts about that scene.
So I didn't hate the whole Black Widow Hulk thing they were trying to play at when it was going on, but they didn't pay it off in any way.
I don't hate it. I just hate that conversation.
Yeah, like they just never paid it. Like they sold it so hard in Ultron, and they kind of played on it a little bit later, and like in the beginning of Endgame too, whenever like they all met up again. but then like they didn't give it any closure before Black Widow died.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but that's just me.
That sucks. Yeah, it does, yeah. But Black Panther also honorable mention. That was great. I like that movie.
It was a rip off the Lion King. I do love Killmonger though.
Killmonger is one of the greatest villains in there. And even if it's a rip off of the Lion King, it's still great. It's the rip off of Hamlet. Lion King's just a rip off of Hamlet.
All right, yeah.
So it's a great story with good characters and some dope fight scenes.
But anyway, so my number 5 was Ant-Man, number 4 was Guardians 1, number 3 was Thor Ragnarok, number 2 was Infinity War, and number 1 was Captain America Winter Soldier.
All right, my number 5 was Ant-Man, number 4 is Captain America Civil War, number 3 Avengers Endgame, but also Infinity War kind of. Number 2 Guardians 1, and number 1 Captain America 2 Winter Soldier.
All right, well with that, let's take it over to some pop culture. Make sure we'll have some more polls up on the Dirty J Instagram and Twitter. So make sure you go vote on those. We'll have the picks out sometime later over the weekend or something like that. So go. Huh?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say go vote on those, and just tell us what we got to talk about, man.
Hell yeah! At Dirty J Sports on both those platforms.
At Dirty J Sports. But anyways, let's take it over to pop culture.
This bitch says she got the corona, but I'm gonna do what I wanna. Her mama got low on that water, so I went and got me a gunner. This quarantine got me fucked up, so I'm gonna need to be drunker. I bought so much damn toilet paper that they should be calling the plumber. Fuck going on, it's the KOP. I will be fucking around, but I'm in quarantine. This bitches be dirty, but my house is clean. So much Purell, making me free cream. National Guard, going to California, yay. Thank God I got the weed, cause I'm high every day. The world's going to hell, everything's closing. Got 4 handles, bitch I'm coasting. This bitch says she got the corona, but I'm gonna do what I wanna. Her mama got low on that water, so I went and got me a gunner. This quarantine got me fucked up, so I'm gonna need to be drunker. I bought so much damn toilet paper that they should be calling the plumber. Yo, fuck this corona shit, I wanna fuck around and find your clit. Got me a corona, and I got the lime. Call me Nickelodeon, yeah, I got the slime. Don't fall back, don't call back. Watch my corona down with a maul back. Don't talk silly to me, I got a dirty car, COVID-19.
Yo, go and crack a Rona, bitch, give me a lime. Quarantine and chill, then I'll take you from behind. It's Rona season with my heathens. Blue suede kicks, yeah, I'm hooked on a feeling. Keep it authentic in this global pandemic. Spitting from the chest like it's cardiogenic. So line up some wine cups and pour out for China.
This bitch says she got the corona, but I'm gonna do what I wanna. Her mama got low on that water, so I went and got me a gunner. This quarantine got me fucked up, so I'm gonna need to be drunker. I bought so much damn toilet paper that they should be calling the plumber.